Episode 168, Getting Control of Your Pinterest Page. This Week in Weddings is a support group for wedding industry entrepreneurs.
We're the ones behind the scenes, planning and designing the event, arranging the flowers, creating the invitations, or taking the photographs for a couple's most important day ever. No pressure.
If you've been in the wedding industry for more than a minute, you know it's not all cake and confetti. Running a wedding business is hard, and it's certainly not for the faint of heart.
This Week in Weddings is where we catch up on this often crazy but amazing industry and share tips on how to be a better business owner, all while supporting each other along the way.
You're listening to This Week in Weddings with Kimberly Rhodes and Annie Roach. Hi guys, I'm Kimberly Rhodes, owner of Hitched Events.
And I'm Annie Roach, owner of 5x7 Designs.
Annie, we have another shout out.
Shout out!
Another This Week in Weddings super fan. We are bringing her on the show to talk to us, our friend, Kaylee Hanna from the Virgin Hotel in Dallas. Kaylee, welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
We're just bringing Kaylee on just to basically boost our self-esteem and talk about how great we are.
Yeah, which you are.
That's true. You know that words of affirmation are my love language, so... But for real, tell us why you decided to be a This Week in Weddings super fan and support the podcast.
Oh my gosh. Well, I love both of you. So you both just have amazing personalities, and it's been being in the wine industry here in Dallas. Of course, we see each other a lot, and in and out. But I just really feel like your podcast makes a difference for and it's so.
Oh, keep going.
Yeah. I mean, you guys, you go to so many educational events, blah, blah, blah. But, listening to you guys, it's like having a conversation and things. It's so relatable. So, yeah, I just wanted to support you guys and, show you some love.
We love it. And your pretty mug is now on the This Week in Weddings website. As a supporter, we appreciate you a lot. If you are listening and also have gotten a lot out of the podcast, you could also be a supporter by going to thisweekinweddings.com/support. Our super fans get a little time on the podcast.
And maybe once, COVID's done, we'll actually get to hang out in person one day.
One day. 2021.
2021. Knock on wood. Kelly, thanks for being a supporter. We appreciate you.
Yes. Love you guys.
Welcome back to the podcast. Annie, are you on Pinterest?
I am on Pinterest, but I'm not an active user, and I've had some complications with my account because
what does that mean exactly?
I'm in Pinterest jail. No, so I had an intern, a paid intern, did it right, a couple years ago, and she set up my Pinterest, and she was British, so her computer domain was .uk. So my Pinterest Pinterest thought that I was in the UK.
In Europe. Oh.
But luckily I have contacted Pinterest just recently and told them my story, and they changed my domain to
thank you.
.com. Yeah, not
thank you,
.uk.
Pinterest.
I know. Who knew?
I will tell you that I have many Pinterest accounts, and I have not babysat any of them. To be completely honest, I just find it's one more thing to do.
Yeah, I think because I don't use it as much as I used to, I thought it was kind of a dying trend, but that's totally wrong.
Not a thing. Yeah,
no, it's totally a big deal.
Yeah. Well, we had a Pinterest episode forever ago. In fact, it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but how long was it? It was
episode 79.
79. That was almost 100 episodes ago, which is almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's time to bring it back, talking about Pinterest. And our guest, Julianne Smith, is much better at Pinterest than both of us combined. So it seems like a good person to have to tell us what to do.
Yes.
Julianne Smith is a nationally recognized wedding accessory designer, digital media strategist, and small business educator. Julianne is the owner of the Garter Girl, a stylish wedding garter design company she started in 2004 after she couldn't find a wedding heirloom worthy of her best friend. The Garter Girl is known for stylish and meticulously handmade wedding heirlooms that are too pretty to toss. The Garter Girl and Julianne have been featured on NBC's Today Show, Lifetime, The Knot, Martha Stewart, Brides, and Glamour, as well as many top wedding magazines and blogs.
Before creating the Garter Girl, Julianne was a political communication strategist, spokeswoman, and media specialist. She worked on Capitol Hill for a member of Congress and served in the White House's administration. Combining her passion for DC, media, and weddings, in 2010, Julianne started the Washington, D.C. area's top wedding website, United with Love. Julianne built United with Love to be a trusted resource and a well-known brand with thousands of readers every day. She sold United with Love in 2016. Today, Julianne helps creative small businesses throughout the wedding industry who are struggling and confused with their online presence. Julianne offers done-for-you services, online courses, and speaking engagements on search engine optimization, blogging, and Pinterest. Born in Pennsylvania, Julianne currently lives with her husband and 3 children in Washington, D.C.
Let's welcome to the show Julianne Smith.
Welcome to the show, Julianne. We're so excited to have you again. Second timer.
Woohoo!
Woo! I feel like I'm a part of elite club.
It is a very elite, exclusive club. You have to know the password.
Mm-hmm.
It's password protected.
Well, and you guys are so elite anyway, so I feel like just even being
it's
here.
uber elite.
Tell us more. Tell us more. Well, we're excited to have you back. Okay, so confession. I do have a Pinterest account.
Sure do.
For my company. I also have a personal Pinterest account, lots of recipes. We have a This Week in Weddings Pinterest account. Annie just learned about.
So full disclosure, I didn't even know we had a This Week in Weddings Pinterest board. So there's that.
But I am not great at maintaining or updating or looking at any of them with any sort of regularity.
But now we're going to learn what to do. We're going to be better.
Yes. And Annie, I heard you had a secret Pinterest account too.
I did. In my, welcome to the internets in 2020, I have a Pinterest page, but unfortunately it was stuck in Pinterest.uk. So now my Pinterest has come to America, and I've got, after some help desk questions with Pinterest, so I was like, oh gosh, this is horrible. So I've been deleting it, and I'm excited to hear some tips so I can maximize that and work my business on it.
I know. I hear you.
So Julie, you have been on our podcast before and you were talking about blogging back in the day. You were like an early guest, like I want to say under 10, right?
You have my favorite episode topic name, which was Blog It Like It's Hot. I feel like that's the best name for a podcast ever.
Nice.
You guys, I did a blogging workshop and I had all these cookies made and they were hilarious. They said blog it like it's hot. Your blog is really pretty. And we had all these fun movie quote puns. It was really fun.
That's amazing. So real quick, because we always ask our guests to tell us their backstory and how they got into the wedding industry. Tell us a little bit for those of you guys who maybe haven't heard about your story.
Sure.
Give us a little bit of the backstory of your kind of history and blogging and you just know all of the things. So kind of tell us, how did this all come to be?
Awesome. Okay, so my name is Julie and my business is the Garter Girl, but where I hand make wedding garters for brides. And when I first started the business, nobody would buy from me, right? And I thought, oh, well, I'm going to go out to these bridal shops and I'm going to get my products in their stores. But except that turns out bridal shops only want to buy from established business. So I just said, okay, well, I'm just going to start. What can I do? And my background is in politics and media. And so I just was like, let's start blogging because nobody told me no. And I could write about whatever I wanted. And I could talk about how amazing I was and how awesome my products were. And no editor was like, yeah, no. So then because of the power of my blog, I started selling a lot more on my own. And I didn't really have to do wholesale anymore. And then in 2010, I started a blog for weddings in Washington, D.C. And it called United with Love. And I ran the 2 businesses, the Garter Girl and United with Love, for 5 years. And then I sold the blog because running the 2 businesses was making me a little crazy.
Understandably.
Yeah, it was too much. And I also have 3 kids, and it was like, So I was like, that's it. You got to choose. And so I chose the business, the Garter Girl, where I actually, like, I'm a creative person. I like to make things. And so with the Garter Girl, I can see things, I can touch them. And so with the blog, I just felt like I was like a curator. I don't know. So anyway, I chose the Garter Girl. But that doesn't mean I don't know. So I've helped a lot of countless businesses on how to blog for their business as opposed to blogging as a business, which is what I was on your podcast to talk about.
Yep.
And because I'm on the e-commerce side of things, I've been really able to, over the years, to really help my friends in the wedding business who are on the service side of things. So it's like having a product and an e-commerce product, you really have to be like a ninja about all the online things, right? So the SEO and the blogging and now the Pinterest, you have to be, and like the email marketing, you have to really, really be on top of that kind of stuff because it's sort of like all you have. Whereas I think with the service-based businesses, it's obviously a lot different, right? You have to worry about, referrals and lots of other things that I don't necessarily have to worry about. And so, but I speak weddings, right? Like, because we have the same clients. So I've been able to help a lot of my friends in the service-based business handle some of this tech and this online stuff, whether it's blogging or Pinterest or SEO. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah, totally. And I will tell you, just to like jump into the Pinterest conversation, I did see on your Instagram recently, you posted on your Instagram stories, is Pinterest is it social media? Yes or no? Question. And I honestly I hit yes. And as soon as I did, I was like, that is not the right answer. And I had to message you like, I know I hit yes, but I meant no. I meant no. It is not social media.
It is not social media. You're right.
It's
so
search engine.
That's right. It's a big misunderstanding. And I think, honestly, I don't know about you guys, but I'm so scarred from Instagram and having to do all the things and the algorithm and just growing at a snail's pace and the hashtags and the captions. And I'm like exhausted.
Oh, I always talk about like, how amazing would it be there's just ups and downs. But like running a business like in the 50s and 60s or even the 80s, like when we didn't have computers and didn't have all this, like just show up to work and talk to people and that's it. Sounds amazing. I mean, like Don Draper sounds amazing.
And drink.
Yeah, just basically sauce all day.
I remember in 2009 signing up for Twitter and going, I can see I remember having that sort of mental conversation with myself going, wow, there just goes like 2 hours of my day. Like, I don't know if I have time to sort of add this into my life. And that was, however many years ago. And now look at everything.
Well, it's like TikTok. I just started doing TikTok and like at night I'll look at it. And it like rabbit hole, it'll be like an hour. We'll go and I watch like 100 videos about mainly dogs.
Yeah. So, but back to your original question, Pinterest and social media Pinterest is not social media. And I think honestly, a lot of us are so scarred by Instagram and over the algorithms and followers and swipe ups and all that I think that there's sort of this aversion to taking on something new, whether it's Pinterest or TikTok or Snapchat or whatever. And I think that people tend to lump Pinterest on in there. They're just like, they say it like, oh, posting on social media, like Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook, and all the things. And it's like, I'm always like, I cringe a little bit when I hear it because, and it's a subtle difference, but it's a huge difference. Pinterest is not social media. Pinterest is a search engine. Right. So Pinterest is the number 3 search engine in the world. So there's Google, which is number 1, and then there's YouTube, and then there's Pinterest. So Google searches with mostly text. It's mostly words. They do have the visual search, but then YouTube is search with videos, right? And then Pinterest is search with pictures. And it's really about sort of like the mindset and it, but it's also kind of like understanding the function and the purpose of each. So when you post on Instagram or you post on Facebook, it's right now. It's like for as
Right.
good as that post is. So when it's stories, it's 24 hours. Or if it's in your feed, it's for what, like 7% of your people see it. And then it's only up there for till something else bumps it out of the way. And so with Pinterest, like Google and like YouTube, they're search engines and they archive the stuff, not the stuff, they archive the content.
Right.
And then that content is available and has just as much chance of showing up, whether you posted it today, 2 weeks ago, a year ago. If it's good quality content and it answers the user's question, they're going to show it.
I will say I understand why people lump Pinterest into the whole same list, though, because it does feel like just one more thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's on the list of something that like I need to get to, but is also not dependent on, you know, it's not like client work where like I
Right.
have to do that because they're paying me money. It's kind of one of those like peripheral things.
Well, listen, there's similarities, right? It's a third-party platform that you don't have necessarily control over.
Right.
And so there are similarities. However, Pinterest is not social media also too. I mean, you're not going on Pinterest to hang out with your friends. You're not going on Pinterest to look at dog videos. Like you're going on Instagram to
Unfortunately.
well, I mean, we've all like hacked it for business, but essentially you're going on there to be social, whether that's to like stalk your favorite celebrity or see what like your, you know, I don't know, favorite, what like the news or whatever you like to do on Instagram. And with TikTok, you're on there to be social. You're on there to have fun. And that is kind of the point of the platform, right? Like they want to keep you on the platform because you are going on there to be social and interact, right? And to interact on the platform and within the platform. Whereas Pinterest, just like Google and YouTube, you are going on there to solve a problem or to answer a question, and then they are okay with getting you off of their platform onto your website to then solve that problem. So think about it. You don't go onto Google and type in like hang out with my friends or Kim Kardashian or whatever dog videos. You don't do that. That's like you do that on Instagram, a little bit you do it on YouTube, but not really. You're going on YouTube like
I need a tutorial on how to curl my hair.
Yeah, or like toilet clog, how to fix drain, how to fix like my husband was watching like videos on how to fix the dryer the other day. And like so it's like you're going, and same with Pinterest, right? It's like I need something to eat. Let's look up recipes. I'm going to travel to this location. I need inspiration. Like you're going on to solve a problem, whether that problem is like obvious, like my dryer's broken, how do I fix it? Or the problem is like less obvious, like I'm planning a wedding and I need a location. Or what is my bridal bouquet going to look like kind of thing.
Yeah. Julie, do you think, I feel like I don't even know when Pinterest first started, but I feel like when it first became a thing, and especially like in the wedding space.
I think it was 2009.
There you go. It felt more like DIY wedding and like crafty wedding. And I think there's probably, at least for me at least, there was this perception of like, well, I don't want to attract the crafty DIY bride, so Pinterest is not like where I need to be.
Yeah.
I know that's not the case anymore, for sure.
It was like, I remember I got married in 2009 and I still had my wedding binder because Pinterest, I guess, hadn't taken into effect yet. But like Pinterest kind of took over that wedding DIY binder, you know, it was the virtual binder.
Yeah. Listen, I get all I've heard it. I've heard all the excuses, you know, bagging on the Pinterest bride and and they're obsessive and they want like all the things. But the reality is that is a stereotype, and that's going to be whether he or she is tearing out pages of a magazine or whether he or she is obsessing about one thing. Like, that's not a Pinterest problem. That's like a sort of human problem, I guess. I don't know how to say, like, that
personal
client,
problem.
right? A personal problem. That client's going to be a handful, and it's going to be challenging no matter what. So I caution folks to blame that on Pinterest. So, it's just like with Pinterest, you sort of have a visual representation of some of the challenges, whereas, so I guess, but yes, when Pinterest first started, it was well, first of all, it was invite only. And it was like more of the crafter, more of the DIYer. I remember like we were redoing our kitchen, and I remember going on Pinterest being like, oh, there's nothing really on here. Like, yeah, it's like a lot of the DIY stuff. I've just noticed over the years, there's been a huge up-leveling in the quality of content. There's the DIY, right? Like during quarantine, what's everyone Googling? Or posting on Pinterest. It's like the no yeast bread and the soft pretzels, and there's like the quarantine snacks and
everybody's making the banana bread.
Yeah, the banana bread and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of the DIY for sure, but I just think the inspiration in general has been up-leveled.
Well, it's become more curated, just like Instagram did.
Of course,
it started off with people just taking a picture and then uploading it, and now it's like you got to have it edited and fancy.
Well, I mean, so we can talk about this later, but I have a course for how to use Pinterest for your wedding business. And once I got through the whole course, I was like, you know what would be cool? Maybe I should get a couple of my brides to come on and tell me how they used Pinterest. And I can tell you right now, I know their weddings. They are not DIY brides. They were, in fact, like very luxury, very high-end, very 5-star destination weddings. And I mean, they are not DIY brides.
Yeah.
I think that a lot couples are using Pinterest right now to plan their wedding. Like, I think you had this, I saw it on your Instagram the other day, like with TikTok, it's like the average user is 16 years old to 24 years old.
They're babies.
And I'm not saying you shouldn't use TikTok for your business, but like by all means, that's definitely something to explore. But like, what's the average age of the person getting married right now? I think they're a little older, right? Is it like 27?
I would have said 28, but I don't really know the stat.
Either way, it's a gamble. Like, okay, let's say
I googled before the thing, like the average age of a Pinterest user is like 40 years old. It's an older crowd.
It's an adult.
Those are the like crowd. The boomers, like it's every generation, not just, I think like it's like it's broken down. There's not a super majority like TikTok where it's very, very young. Pinterest got all the generations on it.
Yes.
So like bride and her mom.
Men.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I said 26% of the users are men, which the funny thing is the other day I saw my husband has a Pinterest page and I didn't even know about it.
Mine does too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, so the point I was trying to make was that Pinterest is where people are right now, because like, so TikTok is awesome, but if they're like, my daughter's 12, she and her friends are all on, that's a big gamble.
And we don't want your daughter getting married anytime soon.
Right. So she's what? Minimum 10 years away from being like, that would be what, 22? Like, is TikTok, that's a big, I guess my point is this, it's a big gamble to play for something for social media to be popular in like 1 to 2 to 3 years.
Where Pinterest has already been here for
Pinterest is
11 years.
Like, but couples getting married now, 6 months from now, a year from now, like they're actually like have the ring on their finger, are using Pinterest right now. Because think about it, you're engaged and you're like, again, just using the two examples from the course, the one girl was like, I need a place to get married. We're not getting married in my hometown. We're not getting married where we currently live. We love the mountains. So she started typing mountain venue or mountain wedding locations. I think she started typing. and like she didn't know where to go, so she went to Pinterest, right? Like, so it's like you don't go to Instagram and start typing mountain wedding venue or mountain weddings. Like, you might click around on the hashtags. So like the one of the brides that I interviewed, she was like, I would use Pinterest to find ideas and inspiration. So like if I wanted to see, she had a holiday wedding in December, but she's like, I didn't want it to be Santa Claus, but I wanted it to be like winter and holiday inspired. So she's like, I would use Pinterest for like inspiration and ideas, and to find, like, she said she found some vendors, but not a lot. And then she would go onto Instagram, like once she kind of found somebody that she wanted to work with, she would go to like almost like pre-interview them, but she went to a specific page on an Instagram. And then she went from there, she would kind of look around hashtags, but it's not as easy to like to find inspiration via hashtags as it is on a platform like Pinterest, which is designed
for search.
Designed to find inspiration. But like, this is one point I wanted to make, is that majority of searches on Pinterest are unbranded.
I don't know what that means.
Right. Okay. So that means that the user goes on and types mountain wedding or mountain wedding ideas or something like that. They're not going on and typing Four Seasons Aspen.
So it's very up in the air of.
But whereas when you are on Instagram, it's very branded, right? Like, you're going specifically, like, I'm going to Kim Kardashian's page. I'm going to Epicurious to get like this, to see what they're doing. I'm going to the Food Network to get a certain thing. It's like very branded. Like, you don't go on and type, if you wanted to get like a new sweater, you wouldn't just go into Instagram and type sweater, right? Like, you'd go to either your favorite influencer or you'd go to like Nordstrom.
Right.
Whereas when you're on Pinterest, you just go and you type like fall sweater. Yeah, right. Fall sweater ideas or something very, very basic. So it's like, and then this is my favoriteest part about Pinterest, is because they're unbranded searches, every business, every pin, every person, every piece of content on Pinterest has just as much chance of showing up as the next. It has zero to do with the amount of followers that you have, the amount of pins that you have, the amount of just content that you have, the size of your business, the size of your website, which is, again, so different from Instagram. Because on Pinterest, and this is like Google and YouTube too, is like they have this huge credibility issue. They need to solve their user's problem. If they don't give the user exactly what they want, the user's like, screw Pinterest, I never find what I want. But if you go in and you type blush bridal bouquet and you get exactly what you're looking for, you're like, man, I love that Pinterest. That answered my question. So they have a credibility issue and so as a content creator, right, that's all of us, meaning like the people that put on the pins, we're called content creators for Pinterest. If you name and tag and do your descriptions properly, you have just as much chance of showing up as the next person, regardless of the size of your account.
So, Julie, would you recommend for all wedding businesses, photography, videography, cake bakers, planners, garter makers, all of these people should have a Pinterest account?
Well, other garter makers should not have Pinterest accounts. Let's go ahead and get that out there.
That's amazing. But really, for anyone who's providing any service relating to the wedding industry, it makes sense to have a Pinterest presence.
100%.
Okay. And
listen, it's like saying I read this article in The Knot. It was from 3 years ago, 2017. They said 40 million engaged couples are on Pinterest.
Yeah.
It was like almost 400 million searches, wedding related searches.
I think weddings are a big part of Pinterest. People are searching that for, I think like house renovations, weddings, those are like going to be.
You have to think of it as like
things.
like networking. It's like saying, yeah, I'm just, there's this whole network, this party, I'm just not going to go.
Okay, so
It's it's a networking party that's happening where your couples are in fact hanging out.
Yeah.
And you're not showing up to the party. Now, listen, I am just as much, I'm in this with you. I own my own business. I think it makes me like more, well, I'll go ahead and say it, like more credible than like some other experts that's all they do. Right? Like, whereas like we run other businesses. So I am very sensitive to adding like one more thing to the plate. And my second favoriteest thing about Pinterest is it's all pre-scheduled. Because Instagram is like the here and now, right? Like it's for right now. Yes, you can pre-schedule Instagram, but there's like a certain amount that requires you to like show up, right? The stories, the commenting,
The
that
comments.
kind of stuff.
I feel like it's also, I mean, do people comment on Pinterest?
No.
Do they? No, it just links directly to what that pin is, goes to another website.
Yes.
So you're basically funneling leads to your main website.
Exactly. So my Pinterest is pre-scheduled and I spend maybe, it's not all at one time, but I would say like an hour a month. And I am currently pre-scheduled through like almost like the end of July. And I don't like, so the girl who helps me blog, every time she puts up a new blog post or she will go and pre-schedule pins. So it kind of just, she knows how I like it and how I like to do it. And so she just kind of goes and pre-schedules them. But there are scheduling programs out there. The one that I love and I've used for years is called Tailwind.
Mm-hmm.
But Pinterest loves like consistency, right? So whether you're doing 5 pins a day, 10 pins a day, up to like 25 pins a day, or it's like they just as opposed to like, oh, I have some time now, I'm just going to schedule 300 pins right now. Or not schedule, I'm going to put on like 300 pins right now. They love that consistency. So that's why a scheduler, I know like Later has it, Planoly has it. I prefer Tailwind just because it was designed for Pinterest. Whereas like I use Planoly for my Instagram because I feel like it was designed for Instagram. So I keep 2 separate schedulers just because I think Planoly does a better job with Instagram and Tailwind does a better job with Pinterest. Does that make sense? So
yeah, it does.
Yeah. But anyway, so I don't feel like Pinterest is like this huge addition of something to do on your to-do list. Whereas like, again, Instagram, TikTok,
it's not going to be as much of a time suck.
It's not. You're not going on Pinterest and like wasting time trying to find clients, right? Like you schedule your pin. So there's a certain level of cleanup on everyone's board that needs to happen. And we can talk about that. But once you get through the kind of cleanup phase, it's straight up scheduling. And like, if it wasn't for this course, I hadn't actually opened my actual Pinterest account in 6 months.
Well, I had to
schedule
change
it all.
My password because I forgot what my password was.
Mine's probably a year and a half. So you're
that's
winning.
Me, and I'm doing like 33 pins a day. And I schedule it all through Tailwind. It's like, so you have a blog post and the way kind of Tailwind works, you can like exponentially create pins very, very quickly. And then it's like, how many pins would you like to do today? And I'm like, I have my schedule set at 33. Boom, done, and done.
Okay. So let's go back to basics real quick.
Like when you say pin, I know like the idea of pin of like when I'm on Pinterest and I'm pinning something, but I don't really know how to like utilize pins. If you're like, how do you utilize and maximize pins to generate business?
Sure.
I mean, isn't it fair to say, and I think this will probably answer Annie's question, in order to be active on Pinterest, you have to have a blog or a website with active content to direct people back to. Is that a true statement?
Or do you have to have a product? Like, I don't know what would I be pinning a lot, like every day? Like, how would I generate 30 pins a day?
You need a blog.
Well, okay, you do not have to have 30 pins. That's me, and that's what works for me. What they love more than the amount of pins is the consistency. So if it's like 5 pins a day, that's what it is. If it's like 1 pin a day, it's the consistency. But to answer your question, no, you do not need to have a blog. You need to have a website. That's minimum, bare minimum.
Check,
And I
got that done.
Yeah, done. Okay, so the deal with the wedding industry, and this is why the wedding industry is missing out big time, is because we have Pinterest gold. Gold. Like, I'm in these groups with these other people and other businesses, and they're always like whining and complaining about, I don't have images. I don't have images. What do we have more than anything is images in the wedding industry. One weekend, you have hundreds of images, and not just like kind of like lame images. We have like amazing images.
Professional.
Yeah. And we have exactly what Pinterest is looking for. Beautiful inspiration. And we have it on the regular. And for those of us that have been in the industry for a long time, we have huge banks of content. And like, so no, you do not need to have a blog. No, you do not need to be blogging like every day. If you do not have a blog, it simply goes to your website. And so, or it can go to your contact page, or if you have galleries on your website, they can go right to the gallery. So say you pin from your gallery and it's like a bouquet, and then like the user wants to see more from Pinterest, they will click through and they'll go right to your gallery. So no, you do not have to have a blog. You can manually upload, whether you're doing it on Pinterest or Tailwind, you can manually upload the image, and then it just goes right to your website or to your contact page or wherever.
I see. I think I have only pinned things that have been already on my website or blog, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think that I've actually uploaded something to Pinterest that doesn't exist for my business online somewhere else. So I was thinking that was the only way to do it.
So
does it make sense?
The deal is, yes. So the deal is it has to answer like the user's questions. So let's say like you post a pin of a bouquet, right? You post, when we say pin, Annie, to answer your question, when we say pin, I'm talking image.
You gotta dub it down for me, guys.
Yeah. No, it's okay. Pin or image. It's the same thing. When you post an image on Pinterest, it's called a pin. So when you post an image on Pinterest, you want to link it to your website, your contact page, to the blog post, to the gallery. When the user like clicks over from Pinterest, if they don't find what they're looking for, they're like annoyed. Let's say it's like a photo of a banana bread recipe and you click on it and you go over there and you get like an error message, or it's like linking to some random recipe and you're like, man, I wanted that banana bread recipe. Now you're annoyed.
Right.
And like Pinterest doesn't like that and the user doesn't like that. But like if it's a photo of a bridal bouquet and they click on it and it takes them to your website for which they can contact you to make them one or to plan their wedding, or it's a blog post where they can see more of that, or a gallery where they can see more of what it is that they're looking for, you're fine. Like you don't have to have that exact image, as long as like when they click over, they kind of get what they're looking for. Does that make sense?
As a Pinterest user, I'm not a great pinner, but if I'm looking for something and I go to Pinterest, and maybe I just need a different mindset, but when I click on an image, if it links me to something that I don't then see that image as well, I'm a little annoyed, if that makes sense. Like if I'm clicking on banana bread and it takes me to a website that's like healthy recipes and maybe banana bread's in there somewhere, I'm like, I specifically wanted the banana bread.
Well, I'm used to, but I feel like all the recipes,
yeah, but
like,
that's
you have to feed through the blog and words to get through the recipe, you know?
That is a food blogger issue. We can that's a whole nother issue. But because that's what you're using for. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for that recipe. Like when somebody clicks over from a bridal bouquet inspiration, they're not looking for a recipe for how to make that bouquet. They're looking for like, where do I get that? Or how do I get that? Or
but like, if Kimberly is like, as a wedding planner and in her gallery, she has bouquets, would that maybe am I again? I know there's no such thing as a stupid question, but I ask stupid questions. So tell me if this is stupid.
No, come on.
But like, would that bouquet pin to? I guess that would pin back to Kimberly's blog post about that wedding, and then it would list the vendors of who made that bouquet. She wouldn't ultimately, because it's her Pinterest. She wouldn't want to pin it directly to the florist, because she's trying to bring traction to her website, and then people can get from there.
Correct.
Yes, it is like a long sort of chain referral system. Okay. Like, yeah, like 90% of the people that click over from Pinterest are going to get the additional inspiration that they need, and then they're going to kind of move on. But if you write everything properly and you do everything properly, you can, in fact, attract clients. Like, I mean, you don't need hundreds of clients to book you from Pinterest. You need like one or two.
Yeah.
A handful. Like, it's just, so like for you, Annie, you're a little different because you're a little more product based. So you might have like a higher sort of conversion rate because they're going to see an invitation suite and they're going to click over, and then they're going to know like, yeah, I can get that from her.
So, okay, the thing that confuses me is I feel like the best traction of Pinterest is, like you're saying, if you have a blog. But what if, like me, I don't have a blog? So how do I utilize that? Because my website, I only have maybe 50 pictures in my gallery. So does that just limit me to only 50 really pins on Pinterest?
No, she's saying that you can upload organically to Pinterest without having it tie back, and then you can tag it
just to my website,
to your website. Yes.
Okay,
or to your contact page, or if you have a gallery.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay. I was like, I feel like it would be hard to get a lot of new content, but that's where you can bring in the new content, is just uploading the new picture, and then, one day put it on your website if you want to. But,
yeah, like if you have, most businesses have a portfolio page or a gallery page. You can link to there. You can link to, like, let's say you post, it's like an invitation suite and you have like 3 or 4 different images, and like maybe you want to link them to your contact page, or maybe you want to link them to your portfolio so they can see more images. It just kind of just depends on what it is that you're trying to do. But I mean, listen, like not everyone, listen, of all the pins that you make, you're not clicking over all the time, right? Like you're saving just some stuff personally. If you're pinning personally, like you save stuff for like to come back to later too. And that's what couples are doing too. They pin stuff and then they come back later to it. They don't always necessarily click through, but it's like that when the timing is right, and when like it all kind of lines up and they do click over and they do like, it all kind of meshes together, that's when it all kind of makes sense.
So
it's
Julie,
like, it's not like everyone's clicking over like all the time. It is like you save your pins, and you know how couples are, they plan like years in advance.
Well, I normally, like when I know when I'm using Pinterest for a visual, like let's say like a house renovation, I'm going to pin that picture, but I'm not necessarily going to go to link.
Right.
I'm just using that visual as a visual inspiration. I'm not going to go and read the blog post of how to install that mirror, because I'm hiring somebody to do that.
Yeah. Well, but see, and that's where, like, again, I talk very, very heavily about this in the course, is like, that's where setting up your Pinterest account properly is to go after your keywords properly so that you can have that perfect match of like someone who's searching for something who's going to hire you. Yeah. Like, you don't want somebody from like the Netherlands contacting you to plan their wedding, because that's like probably not going to happen. But if you can get that couple from Dallas that's looking and searching, and they find you because you've set up your account properly, you've done your pins properly, it all kind of like works.
So because we now are understanding that Pinterest is a search engine, yes, I'm assuming that there's a lot of SEO, like you're saying, doing it properly. I'm assuming that's a lot of like the SEO, the search engine optimization of Pinterest.
SEO on Pinterest. Yes. Search engine optimization on Pinterest. And by the way, the guy who started Pinterest used to work at Google. So it's very the same. Which is why, yes. Yeah.
Google.
They left Google to start this Pinterest thing because they thought searching needed to be prettier or whatever.
Yeah. Can you give us some tips or share with our audience some tips about properly and like what that means? I'm sure there's a lot that goes into it and we won't cover it all here, but any just like couple high level like basics that people need to know.
Sure. So you have to, number one is you have to put on your account, whether that's your title or your description, the title of the pin or the description of the pin, what it is. Like you will never be found as wedding planner in Dallas or, luxury stationery designer if those words are not on your account.
Mm.
Whether that's the pin description, whether that's the board description, whether that's your description of your thing. So like just at a bare minimum, let's say in a perfect world, somebody goes on and they're typing like wedding venues in Dallas. If those words are not on your account, you will never show up for that ever, no matter what you do. You could pin till this day is long. But if you have a wedding, a real wedding, and it links to a gallery on your website, and it was at I don't even know. Is there a Four Seasons in Dallas?
There is.
Okay. And those pins in the description and the title, it's like real wedding at Four Seasons wedding in Dallas, fall wedding in Dallas, fall Four Seasons wedding, portraits, Four Seasons in Dallas. And someone goes on to Pinterest and they are thinking about booking the Four Seasons in Dallas and they're typing in, Dallas ballroom weddings, Dallas Four Seasons, things like that. And you have those words, whether it's on your pin title, your pin description, your board description. And that's how Pinterest knows. Like Pinterest is a little robot. It doesn't see that it is, well, they're experimenting heavily with visual search, but let's just set that aside for a minute. Let's just assume that it doesn't actually see that it's a photo of a bridal bouquet. You have to tell it, this is a blush bridal bouquet. Right. This is a wedding invitation suite. This is a, off the shoulder wedding or strapless wedding dress from a wedding in Dallas. You have to tell it those things. And you do it in the title, you do it in the description, you do it in the boards, you do it in the board titles. And so and then Pinterest, because it's a little robot, it uses all the words to gather what your account is about, what your pins are about. And that way, when somebody goes on and they type something in, they know to match you up with them.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So but if you never put those words on there, they will, you could pin 5 million pins and it would never know.
What you're kind of saying, Julie, is like your words matter more than like really what your boards look visually. Like, like how they're organized. Like, does that
no.
Like it's not like Instagram where you need a curated board of all this like flow together. Your words are almost exact opposites. Instagram, your words are more important.
Words are more important. Again, this is probably like point number 3 with like Pinterest not being social media. You don't need to curate your feed. You don't need to curate your account. It's not a curation. People aren't going to your Pinterest account and like trying to get to know you better, or like think about all the pins you've saved. Have you ever gone to somebody's Pinterest account? Probably not.
Right. I mean, I have made a birthday, like what I want for my birthday. It's a Pinterest board to send to my husband.
Yeah, no, I mean like like when people click over from your website, they're going to like your main Pinterest page, but like 99.9% are not actually ever going to your main Pinterest page. So
they're just going to the pin.
Yeah, you don't have to curate your feed, or you don't have to like, be cute or clever about the whole thing.
I was getting obsessed with how my boards looked and how they were like looking together, which that doesn't, like, who cares?
That's the designer in you. And while I appreciate that about you, and that's why you do what you do and I don't do that, is like, you have to care about the words more than like having like
And from what I'm hearing too, it's like you also like you don't really need that many boards. I mean, like you don't need 1,000 boards. You just need to keep your
1,000 now.
boards current, right?
Not
I
so
mean, I
much
don't know.
current is relevant. They need to be relevant. They need to be helpful. They need to answer a question that, like, if I keep going back to you, Kimberly, just because it's easy. It's like you need to have a board that says weddings in Dallas.
Yeah. I actually have, and I know we're going to do a Facebook Live in our This Week in Weddings Facebook group. If you want access to that, as you'll may know, it is a donation to thisweekinweddings.com/support. It is a private group for our Facebook, or I'm sorry, for our podcast supporters, but we're going to do a Facebook Live with Julie, and she's going to take a look at our Pinterest accounts. I know that Julie, I don't know if you've looked at mine yet, but I do have, again, has not been updated in a long time, but I think we have like a fall weddings board and a winter weddings board and a rustic weddings board. There's like no pictures on it because we don't really do those kind of weddings.
Take that board down.
I know. Ballroom wedding board. There's like different themed boards.
Which is great. But again, because we're trying to attract the right kind of client, if you just added in Dallas, you're now competing with like other people in Dallas and not competing with like Style Me Pretty or me or, somebody else. Like you're getting more specific. You're telling the bot, like, this is what I want. This is what I want to do. This is what I'm all about. And you're really matching yourself up, because when the person types in ballroom weddings or ballrooms in Dallas or something like that, like that's what they're looking for. They're like, I'm trying to find somebody in my area to do what I need to do. And
what would you say for, hypothetically speaking, an invitation designer that doesn't have to just do Dallas clients, but has a studio in Dallas, hypothetically? Like what would be, how would I've been doing, I think kind of like the same, I would like modern wedding invitations, like rose gold wedding invitation, because again, I haven't touched it in 2 years. So when rose gold was cool, is that,
yes,
like, is that a good way to organize my boards? Or, I mean, I was even like, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't know what I'm doing.
So my favorite thing to do is go to Pinterest and start typing in, I can do it now while we're talking, and start typing in something. And well, there's two things. There's this searching. So let's just start typing wedding invitation, and it does the word autofills. So there's wedding invitations. So let's have a board about wedding invitation ideas and inspiration. And then one is wedding invitations DIY. We're not going to do that. We've already discussed that. Wedding invitation wording. Okay, so let's have a board on wedding invitation wording. And then it has like elegant, it has cards, rustic, design, background. So I love like just flat out using Pinterest search. So you can start typing and you can see what comes up.
Use that and see what the popular searches are and use that.
Right. And then you can also, like, when you do the actual search, if it's a popular one, it'll have like the little bubbles across the top. I don't know if you've seen the bubbles. They can give you more inspiration and ideas about board titles and things that people are searching. But then Pinterest a couple months ago rolled out this new thing called trends.pinterest.com.
Oh,
and
I don't know about this.
Yeah. So it's like, it's new, and it is their keyword research tool. And mine says early access. So not everybody might have this. Like Annie, I know you were saying how you had somebody in the UK. Like I know that outside the US, not everybody has this. So, but for example, we could go on to trends.pinterest and type wedding invitations, and so wedding invitation wording is coming up, and you can see the spikes in the trends, and like I can see like, okay, starting in January, it all of a sudden gets really popular and it stays really hardcore until like, well, you can see here's the coronavirus. It like tanked right at early March.
Imagine that.
It's like lower than low. But you can see like the spikes, and then you can compare with other words. So it's trends.pinterest.com. This is a rabbit hole. You could search around this. So my 2 favorite places to look for ideas would be to look on trends.pinterest.com or just the flat out search bar.
Yeah. That's a good idea for sure.
Yeah.
And like Annie, I feel like you could have like a letterpress invitation
Totally.
and a foil stamping, like all the different printing styles.
Yeah.
You could have like save the dates. You could have
escort cards,
money programs.
Is it okay
thank you cards
to overlap my pictures and pins and put them in like if I had a letterpress invitation, but I have it in my letterpress board, but then I also have it in my modern weddings. Is that okay to have them in 2 boards?
Yes, this is a great question. And this answers your question from earlier when I was like, and I do 33 pins a day. This is how I do so many pins. Because I know that a lot of people, including you, were like, what? So what Pinterest has come out and said is that this was maybe like a month ago, February? I don't know. It was definitely right before coronavirus. Basically, they came out and said, listen, we are cracking down on spammers. If you're pinning the same image 100 times over and over and over and over again, we're cracking down on you. We're not only that, we're shutting down your account and we're going to like stop showing your pins. But for the rest of us rule followers, what they've said is we want you to put your pin on relevant boards and we want that fresh content. So fresh content just means like new pins. But when they say relevant boards, let's say you have like 20 boards, right? And you go into Tailwind and you pre-schedule your pin and you say, okay, this is an invitation suite. It's letterpress, so I'm going to put it on my letterpress board. That's 1 pin. I'm going to put it on my modern board. That's 2 pins. And let's say it was from a fall wedding and I'm going to put it on my fall wedding board. So those are relevant boards to the pin. It's not like you're putting it on your like recipe board.
Right.
Because that's irrelevant. You're putting it on relevant boards. And let's say it involves like really cool, like let's say you have a board on like envelope liners. And let's say this one had like a cool envelope liner. So that you put it on your envelope liner board. That's 4 pins with 1 image. And you pre-schedule that. And now you have 1 photo that made 4 pins. And
when you say pre-schedule, like, are you wanting to, like, is it like Instagram where I'm wanting to schedule these pins at certain times of the day or certain days? Like, is that important?
So yes and no. So Pinterest likes the consistency. They don't like you to just hop on and
do 100 and then come back 2 years later.
Yeah.
So any of us would ever do that.
Yeah. So what I love about Tailwind is you can hop on Tailwind, and when you're setting up your account, it'll say, how many times would you like to pin a day? And let's say you say 10. Okay. And then it goes, would you like to choose the times, or would you like us to analyze your account and give you the best times? And
please
I'm like,
do it for me.
I'd like the analyzation, please. Boom. And then a second later, it gives you like this pin schedule with all the times. And then like you're done. So then when you schedule like your 4 pins, you take your 1 image, you put it on 4 different boards. That's 4 pins. Tailwind will automatically drop it into those time slots. So let's say you have 5 images. You put them on 5 different boards. That's 25 pins like that. Mm-hmm. I know it's like a little hard with the math, but when you have a pre-scheduler, it allows you to take pins and exponentially put them on boards very quickly and pre-schedule your pins very, very quickly.
I have 2 questions for you. 1.
Yes.
A pre-scheduler, for example, Tailwind. Is this a free product, a paid product? Tell us a little bit about that. That's my first question.
So it is both. There are free plans not familiar with the free pins because I've been using Toe-In for years and I've always paid for it because for me, the benefit has been so huge. So I think it's like $100 a year.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
For me personally, it's worth every penny. Like I remember back in the day when Pinterest first started, I had at United with Love at the blog, I had a girl who worked for me who I paid her for 10 minutes at the top of the hour, every hour to do pins, to schedule or not schedule because schedulers did not exist.
Right.
To actively pin for 10 minutes. I would say take the blog post from that day and load them onto Pinterest for 10 minutes and then be done and then come back because they didn't want you to like overload the system. And so that's not the case anymore. There's these pre-schedulers. Like I said, Later uses it, Planoly has it, and my favorite is Tailwind. You do have to pay for them. With all of them, you have to pay. I mean, like I pay for pre-scheduling for Planoly for Instagram,
right?
But it's like $100 a year, and it allows you. Like I said, I have thousands of pins pre-scheduled. I won't even touch my Pinterest again probably until like the end of mid-July.
Yeah. Okay, so that was my first question. My second question is, how much because you've seen a lot of Pinterest accounts and Pinterest accounts of wedding people,
yes.
Is there a lot of cleaning up that you would suggest as like a first step versus just like you need to start pinning? Like, do we need to go back and curate, for lack of a better word, our old content? And if so, like, what does that kind of look like?
I don't think you need to clean up your old content. First of all, anything that's personal, you need to either move it to secret or put it on a personal account. If it's
I love how they can do a secret board now.
If you have that little P on your website, a Pinterest, you're telling clients like, hey, go to my Pinterest page. But if they go to your Pinterest page and it's like full of a bunch of random junk, like, banana bread, like
false renovations.
That's not a business profile.
I love the secret now. I remember when Pinterest started, like I would have, friends and they start pinning baby stuff and I'm like, oh, they're pregnant. Like you can always tell. Or like for me, it's like, doing a lot of like cake recipes. Like, oh, Andy's on her period.
Oh,
like, you can always tell.
Well, that's how they know to like send you the Pinterest ads. But so like, okay, this is like a big confusion. So if you go on to Pinterest and you see the monthly viewer number, like pre-coronavirus, I had like averaging like 800,000 to 1 million monthly viewers on my account.
And that means people who have found a pin?
Yeah, or just interacting with my pins.
Wait, what number was that? Did you say? You said
the monthly viewer number. It's right under your
But how many did you say? You said million?
Oh, 800,000 to 1 million.
Wow.
But the big difference is we were talking about personal pins. So for me, I only pin my own content. I only do pins or images that go to my website. 90% of the other pinners out on Pinterest are pinning other people's content. So if you go and you see, oh my gosh, so-and-so has 20,000 monthly viewers, those are pins of other people's. It's like it's a compilation of all of the pins that they've saved.
And do you have an opinion about that? Because I feel like,
well, it's a vanity metric for sure. No one really cares, but also it like it doesn't affect anything. Like, so if I see somebody has a huge monthly viewer number, I'm like, that's just because they pinned a bunch of viral stuff. That's not helping their business at all. Those links, those clicks are going to some other website.
Yeah.
They might have pinned like the most viral banana bread recipe. That monthly, those impressions, those everything are getting added into their account, but they're not benefiting from that.
I guess my question is, do you have an opinion about people in wedding businesses solely pinning their own content versus also pinning inspiration?
So it's yes and no. I think for your account in general, you should not pin other people's stuff. If it's personal, or like put it secret or put it on another page. I think the problem when you're pinning other people's stuff for inspiration, it clouds that monthly viewer number, it clouds your analytics. You go in to look and see your top pins and you're like, wait a minute, the first 100 of these top pins are not going to my website. How is this even helping me? Like,
mm-hmm.
And again, if it's a business page to get you more business, how does pinning someone else's thing that goes to somebody else's website help you?
So I think I actually have a board. Again, this has been like years since this was touched, but like I think we have a board that's like bridesmaids gifts. And it's like inspiration of gifts you could give your bridesmaids, but none of them are things that I sell or make.
So, okay, then that gets my second thing. So know if you're trying to like create like a business page to get more business.
But you could.
But yes, you can if you are trying to, like, let's say you have a couple and you're like pinning inspiration for their wedding and you want to share it with them and you're like, here are these ideas, and they're collaborating with you and they're adding pins to it. Then yes, in that case, by all means. And then you can decide, do you want to keep it secret just between you and your client, or do you want to put it out there public? I don't think it's a huge deal. But like,
you could do, Kimberly, you could say like client gifts. Again,
yeah.
Now I've talked to Julie for an hour, so I'm now an expert. But you could do client gifts, but then you could link it back to, if you wanted to do a blog post, I guess, or, you know, about client gifts. And then that link could go to, you know, again, not an expert. I'm just pretend play one on TV, but you know, your list of here are 10 cool bridesmaid gifts. It goes to your blog post. And then I guess then you would have the link in the blog versus them going directly to that, you know, Tiffany's necklace.
You can do that, but that does create more work. And I'm not saying run out and create like all these blog posts. Like, listen, I had a friend who's a wedding planner and she's like, I said, you know, none of these pins on this board, I think it actually was even bridesmaids gifts. She's like, none of those pins are mine. She's like, but I send that link to that board to my clients all the time. Mm-hmm. That is a very curated list that I use. And I think she had like a couple others that she always like would send to her clients, like different like ideas for certain things. Like they would ask for like gift ideas for their for the other, like the mom, or the gifts for their other spouse or whatever. So she would curate these boards and they were not her own stuff. And that, again, that's totally fine. That's what Pinterest is for. And she would send those boards whenever the client asked. She would be like, yep, here you go. Like they would say, oh, you have an idea for like,
something I can get my future
perfect.
mother-in-law.
She was like, so that I was like, yes, if it's for a client in that case, by all means, like do that. So I say pin other people's stuff if it's for a client.
Yeah.
If it's for your own business, no, I would not pin other people's stuff if it's if you're trying to get more business from Pinterest for the reasons that we've mentioned, right? Like people don't care about curation. People aren't coming to your feed. Those pins aren't helping you. They're not going to your website.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we do have some boards that are like that are like gift boards. We also have like how to ask your bridesmaids to be a bridesmaid board.
But then you should have those. And then again, if people are asking you, like if your clients are saying, I need some ideas for how to ask my bridesmaids. And you're like, absolutely, here is my Pinterest board. But if like people aren't asking you that, there's really no point in having a board. Yeah. But she told me, she's like specifically like people ask me these things for like, I think the other one was like escort card ideas or layouts or something like that. And she's like, so I have this and I use it all the time. And I was like, keep it.
Yeah.
Keep it.
Julie, before we wrap up, is there any, like, what's the biggest mistake you see people, other than like not even using it, Pinterest? Is it the labeling? Is it like how images are tagged or how boards are tagged?
No, I think it's like I said, they think it's social media. And so their, Pinterest profile reads more like an Instagram bio than a Pinterest profile. It's all of it. It's trying to curate their feed. It's thinking that people actually it's just the biggest mistake is thinking Pinterest is social media.
Yeah.
And not understanding that it's a completely different, it's a search engine type platform. It's completely different. And it is for the long haul. Like these are huge, it's just an investment in your business. Like when you're on Instagram or you're on Facebook, it's for right now. It's for like this minute, for like the next 5 or 10 minutes. But when you're on Pinterest, it is, and Google and YouTube, it's for the long haul. It is an investment in your business. It is like, it's like I have pins from 2 years ago, 5 years ago that are bringing me hundreds and hundreds of clicks. And like,
that's amazing.
That is zero work on my part. It's not my favorite image because it's really hard to like override something that's gone viral on Pinterest, especially if it's years ago, and your brand has gotten better and evolved. But like, I'm like, hey.
But at least it gets them back to your site and they can
At
see
least
newer stuff.
Exactly. And so I'm okay with it, but I didn't have to do any work for that.
Yeah.
And it just gets better and better and better over time because again, like, you know, things that have been on Pinterest for longer and they have more click-throughs and better credibility, Pinterest is like, man, this is going to answer some of these questions. So like, I'm going to really show this to somebody because it's been proven to answer people's problems.
Yeah. Okay. So we've been chatting for more than an hour about Pinterest. And I feel like we've barely
go more and more and more hours.
Barely touched it. Tell us a little bit. You mentioned a course that you have. Tell us a little bit more about that. And I understand that there is a This Week in Weddings discount for our listeners.
There is. So it's a course for how to use Pinterest for your wedding business. It is from keep calling it my love letter. It's my love letter from one business owner to another, but it's specifically for wedding businesses. There's tons of Pinterest information out there, but none of it is for the wedding industry. And I think the wedding industry is hugely missing out. Like I was saying, we have Pinterest gold and we're not doing it properly.
Yeah.
And you know, I really, really, really wanted to get something out there that was just for the wedding industry. And it was from one business owner to another, because there's things in the course where I'm like, yeah, a Pinterest marketer would tell you to do this, but I'm going to tell you right now, if you have 100 things on your to-do list, don't do this.
Yeah,
like,
that's good.
Again, it's very, very real. And I'm so sensitive to adding stuff to the to-do list because I don't want stuff on my to-do list. And it's also very, like I said, wedding business focused, but it's also things that are working right now on Pinterest, because Pinterest went public like maybe a year ago and they are changing by the hot minute. Every time you hop on Pinterest, there's something, it looks different. Something's gone, something's moved. And it is like, so if getting control of your Pinterest was on your quarantine to-do list, this is the course for you.
It is on my to-do list next.
Yeah, well, so many people were coming to me being like, I need help with my Pinterest. I need help with my Pinterest. And I kept making the same videos for people over and over again. And I was like, I'm just going to make a course. And it is full of like what's working right now. It's like how to get more business, how to set up your page properly.
Amazing.
I can't wait. You guys, I'm going to be like Pinterest queen.
Well, the other fun thing is, so I mentioned I have the interviews with the real brides, but then I also did videos like how to pin for the invitation designer, how to pin if you're a wedding planner, how to pin if you're a photographer, how to pin if you're a videographer. So there's like 40-ish videos.
Oh, wow.
So I also wanted to do it where it's like you can watch the whole thing through, but then like everything is in small videos so that you can go back. So you're like, wait a minute, how did I do that? You don't want to have to watch the whole video.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, how do I do this? And you can go right to that video and it's like 5 minutes and it's like done. So all the videos are short. I don't think there's anything over 10 minutes.
That's amazing. And how do people find this course?
Oh, they go to my website. It's called juliannesmith.com, JulianneSmith. Julianne Smith, and it's right there.
Perfect.
You can't miss it.
And we will link to it in our show notes so people can find it.
And there's an amazing discount. They get
we'll pin
$10
it.
off.
We're going to pin it on our This Week in
Yes.
Weddings Pinterest board.
Well, I can't wait to review. I'm like desperate. I'm like, please don't go in and fix your account until I have a chance to review it on
I'll
our
keep it a
Facebook
hot
Live.
mess. Don't you worry.
No,
And
so
then,
we're going to do a
$10
discount.
off.
$10 off. Yes.
That's
Awesome.
amazing.
Okay. I'm not so good with the acronym. You do it.
So the code is TWIW, as in This Week in Weddings. So discount code TWIW. You put that in when you sign up, automatically gets you $10 off. Julie, thank you for that.
Yes.
Thank
At
We love it.
JulianneSmith.com.
At JulianneSmith.com. I'm not going to get on
Same.
Pinterest updates quite yet so that you can blast my current
No.
horrible Pinterest on the Facebook Live. I'm totally okay with that. I'm sure it will be a good example for others. And we'll do that Facebook Live in our private Facebook group. You can get access to that by supporting us at thisweekinweddings.com/support. Julie, thank you.
Thank
Oh
you,
my gosh.
Julie.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
You could tell I could talk about this forever.
Forever. It's a lot of information, though.
It
And I'm
is
glad
a lot.
somebody knows how to do it because it is not me.
But I will say though, it doesn't have to be with pre-schedulers. It does not. It seems like a lot of work, but like I said, I spend
An hour a month is nothing.
That's
maybe. Like that's it.
I mean, I do
really-
the pre-scheduling for our This Week in Weddings Instagram, and just for that, it takes me over an hour a week to schedule and do all that. You know, make the graphics, but the scheduling part, it takes me at least 30 minutes to do all the scheduling and look.
Well, what if you could take one of those pins or one of those images and give it 5 days worth? Like that would be amazing. That's issue one. And then the other issue is like, first of all, they don't use hashtags really on Pinterest. And also like, you don't have to be cute and clever and like come up with a caption that like is, I don't know, inspirational or whatever you need to do. There's like very low pressure on Pinterest.
Yeah.
Tell me what's in the photo. That's it.
Awesome.
And it goes a lot, the pre-scheduling goes a lot faster. There's not like this emotion of having to come up with this perfect caption.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's about
yeah.
SEO.
It is.
That's awesome. Well, Julie, thank you. We appreciate
You guys are the best.
We will see you in our live in our Facebook group.
Yes, please.